centuries, pleasure steamers ran trips along the coast and across the channel to Boulogne. 1957 was the final season. Strong swimmers were permitted to dive on the pier end between 6 and 9 in the morning. On the 30th of July 2014, East Sussex Fire and Rescue Service deployed 80 officers to tackle a devastating fire, which destroyed the domed blue room at the landward end of the pier. The fire rapidly took hold and suddenly completely destroyed the building. But thanks to the quick response of the Fire Brigade and the Royal National Lifeboat Institute, who rainbowed seawater on the remaining two-thirds of the pier, the majority of the structure was saved thanks to the bravery and skill of those men and women. Just ahead to your right is a statue of a young officer in memorial to the Sussex men who served in that local unit, the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Sussex Regiment at the time of the Indian Mutiny in 1857, and who gave their lives for their country.
Hey, can we do this back first?
Yeah.
Is this one first?
That'll be a whole mate.
I'm finished.
On your left are the famous carpet gardens, bright flower beds planted in geometric patterns called carpet bedding, traditional to the town since 1880. These beds are propagated in the council's own nurseries. Opposite the carpet gardens is the sad site of the former Claremont Hotel, destroyed by fire on November the 22nd, 2019. This beautiful Grade 2 listed building was very like the next door Burlington Hotel, and it is hoped that the new building can soon rise up to take its place in a similar style. Look out for the bandstand on your left with its blue roof. Built in 1935, there is no other like it in the United Kingdom, offering a wide variety of live musical entertainment with over 140 events each year, including firework displays, children's concerts, brass bands, and popular tribute bands. There is seating for 1,400, and when it first opened, the entrance cost 3 old pennies.
Yeah.
This is the stop for the bandstand. low round building on the top of the hill is the Wish Tower, number 73 of the 74 Martello Towers, which were built along the south coast from Folkestone to nearby Seaford to protect the coastline from invasion by Napoleon. Below the Wish Tower, closer to the road below, is the first permanent lifeboat museum in the world. The first lifeboat to serve Eastbourne was a privately owned vessel built in 1822, 2 years before the Royal National Lifeboat Institute itself was founded, and given to the town by the well-known local John Fuller, also known as Mad Jack. The boat, called the Rose, served until 1863. This is the stop for the Lifeboat Museum and the Wish Tower. To your left, erected in 1910, is the statue of the 8th Duke of Devonshire, Spencer Compton, who was the mayor of Eastbourne. On the 13th of May 1874, it was announced that local resident William Erb was proposing to build a magnificent hotel with a 400-foot frontage at a cost of £50,000. The result was the Grand Hotel, which is the large white building set back on your right. The only 5-star seafront hotel in the country. When the Grand opened in 1877, there were only 6 bathrooms, serving 200 rooms, and chambermaids had to carry hot water up to the bathrooms twice a day. Many famous people have stayed at the Grand Hotel, including the future King Edward VIII, the late Queen Mother, Sir Thomas Beecham, and Sir Edward Elgar, to name but a few. Eastbourne had one of the very first municipal bus services in the world, starting on April the 12th, 1903. The earliest buses had an open driver's cab and no number plates, and were painted in red and brown livery. You will soon be able to see the white cliffs rising to almost 600 feet coming into view on the left. The cliffs, known as Beachy Head, is said to be derived from the old French low chef, meaning beautiful woodland. These are the highest chalk cliffs in Britain, and they form the most easterly part of the South Downs. The road on your left are the Holywell Gardens, a wonderful sun track, rockeries, and a tea chalet. Before being landscaped by the town council in the winter of 1904, this was a huge chalk quarry, but it was discovered that the excavation was polluting a nearby water spring. Also perched on top of the cliff is Hallen Gardens, with an 18-hole putting course and lawn bowls overlooking the sea. This is the stop for Holywell Gardens. Originally an Anglo-Catholic nunnery. Due to the climate here being considered good for the health, many hospitals and nursing homes were built in Eastbourne. Since closing as a hospital in 2004, the chapel is used as a venue for weddings and formal dinners. On your left are the Italian gardens. These are unusual secluded lawns with a seated wooded amphitheatre carved out of the cliff face. Next is Bede's School, founded in 1895 by Mrs. Frances Brown. During the war, the school was evacuated and the building used to train over 2,000 code breakers. Coming up is the stop for the foot of Beachy Head. This is the stop for the foot of Beachy Head, Foyles Way and the kiosk. You can walk to the top of Beachy Head from here, but be warned, it is very steep. To the top of Beachy Head, please stay on the bus. Eastbourne was mentioned in the Doomsday Book, but it was then known just as Bourne. East was added in the 13th century. The Bourne stream itself has been diverted many times over the years to form ponds, power water mills, and even to supply a brewery. Eastbourne prospered during the Middle Ages as a sheep farming area and thriving fishing centre. In 1555, the settlement was sold to three wealthy Sussex families: the Burtons, the Guildfords, and the Selwyns, whose legacy can be seen throughout the town today by way of street names and features. An essay by Dr. Richard Russell in 1752 extolled the medicinal benefits of the seaside. His views were of great advantage to the south coast, and Eastbourne became known as the Empress of watering places. By the mid-19th century, most of Eastbourne was owned by just two families. Most of the land owned by the Cavendish family was along the seafront, whereas the Gilbert family's land was generally slightly inland. We are now gradually climbing up the chalk downs, and it is this hill that the residents of Eastbourne can thank for keeping them sheltered from the worst high winds. The cliffs of Beachy Head face southwards, and are therefore subject to severe southwesterly gales, and it's the constant erosion of the cliff faces by these storms that maintains the magnificent whiteness of the cliff face. The coast is receding by up to 3 feet a year, and sometimes there's even a larger fall. In 2002, a large piece of Beachy Head's cliffs fell into the sea, and the debris from this is still visible today. Beachy Head cliffs have been eroding for the last 10,000 years, ever since the end of the last ice age. The chalk at Beachy Head and the surrounding area is made up of billions of tiny animal shells called cotoliths, which can only be seen under a microscope. So small that you can fit around 1,000 of them on a pinhead. You can also see thin black bands of the chalk. These are formed by a chemical process which dissolves the silica fragments. When sea creatures such as sponges die, they leave behind tiny silica fragments which ingrain themselves into the chalk and form flint modules. Flint is one of the most useful rocks man has ever found. It's an extremely hard mineral, and when struck, it breaks with a shell-shaped fracture, with razor-sharp edges which can easily cut meat. If you would like the Black Robin farm stock, please ring the bell. For the top of Beachy Head, please stay on the bus. 1983, when the lights were automated. Beachy Head's prominence has long made it a landmark for sailors, and all too often, the cliffs and the rocky seas below were a danger to vessels, leading to many shipwrecks. So many people were losing their lives that Parliament was petitioned to build a lighthouse as early as 1691. Parson Darby, the local rector, was so distraught by the death toll of sailors on board that he made it his mission to single-handedly carve out a series of tunnels in the cliff face known as the Parson Darby Holes, leading to a cave 20 feet above the high water mark, from which he shone warning lights to help sailors. His grave may be seen in the Eastbourne parish church. Many locals say that you can see clouds from the top of Beachy Head, but this is a myth, due to it being 68 miles south from here across the English Channel. The body of water that separates southern England from northern France, and usually credited as the busiest shipping area in the world. Beachy Head and the Seven Sisters are famous for their white chalk cliffs. We will pass the granite monument, which was erected in 2012 when it was airlifted to Beachy Head using an RAF Chinook helicopter. The 6-ton memorial is to men who died serving here on the command. This area of headland over the cliff tops would have been one of the last sights seen by many airmen. This is the stop for the Beachy Head pub and the countryside centre. If you are leaving us here, please check with the driver for the times of the last buses, as we don't want you stranded here. Please also be aware that we only run in one direction along the downs, so you need to catch the bus on this side of the road for your return to Eastbourne. It was the beacon at the top of Beachy Head that warned the population of the arrival of the Spanish Armada in 1588. Look out to sea on a clear day and you will see the Rampion wind farm, located between 8 and 16 miles from the shore. It's situated along the coast between Worthing in the west, the city of Brighton and Hove, and Seaford in the east, and comprises of 116 turbines within an area of 24 square miles, and completed in 2018 at a cost of nearly £2 billion. Beachy Head's chaplaincy has been patrolling the cliffs since 2004, reaching out to those in distress and seeking to save lives. The lack of development across the downs means plenty of unspoiled habitat for birds, mammals and reptiles. You can see cattle, sheep, rabbits, red foxes and badgers. The European badger is powerfully built, with black face, white markings and a grey body, weighing about 29 pounds in the spring and up to 37 pounds in the autumn. Beachy Head has many sporting events throughout the year, including cycling, walking and a 10k marathon, one of the biggest off-road in the UK.
What kind of
We are now making our way towards the Baltu Lighthouse, believed to be a French name, but more likely to be Celtic, taken from Beal, the god of war and Tut, the lookout. Due to constant erosion, it was decided to move the lighthouse further inland, and in March 1999, the 160-year-old structure was moved 56 feet on specially built hydraulic rails. The lighthouse now sits on a single-storey building. The Baltu Lighthouse stone structure was started in 1831 using Aberdeen granite, all sailed by Byzantines and local limestone, and came into operation in 1834. Later being decommissioned in 1902. Prior to the building of the stone structure, a wooden building was erected in 1828, where lighting experiments experiments were carried out. These proved very successful, and the number of shipwrecks was greatly reduced. James Perce Stewart bought the lighthouse and constructed an access road, upgrading it to a family home and tea rooms. It was almost completely destroyed during the Second World War, being badly damaged by Canadian artillery fire. Although the lighthouse was not the target, the guns were firing at wooden silhouettes of tanks which were placed on the hills at the approach of the building. In 1986, the BBC purchased the lease of the Baltudes for the filming of a mini-series, The Life and Loves of a She-Devil. And a year later, it featured in the James Bond film The Living Daylights. From 1996, Baltudes was again used as a family home. And then in 2010, it appeared on Channel 5's Life in the Country, showing how it was converted into a bed and breakfast, which purpose it still serves today. 150 yards to the east of the lighthouse, where the cliffs are only about 70 feet high, is a fairly level drive off the road. And first record of a car being driven over the edge is on June the 10th, 1908. Visitors should keep a lookout for some of the area's flora and fauna. The classic chalk coastland has a remarkably rich and diverse habitat. We are continuing our journey to Berlin Gap, where there is a staircase which will take you to the shore, offering panoramic views of the Seven Sisters Cliffs. Haven Brow, Chalk Brow, Rough Brow, Brass Point, Platt Hill, also known as Flagstaff Point, Bailey's Point, and Wayne Hill Brow.
That's a new one.
The present staircase was installed in 1996, replacing an earlier damaged structure. This was moved back to the cliff line in 2002, along with the access bridge, which was later lengthened. It was noted in 2005 that the Berlin Gap cliffs had retreated 90 metres north from where they had stood in 1873. Another stark reminder of the relentless erosion taking place. Seven Sisters Country Park can be found about 3 miles west of Berlin Gap, at the point where the South Downs meets the sea where ancient rivers cut valleys into the chalk. Haven Brow is the highest of all of the Seven Sisters, standing at 253 feet, or 77 metres.
Yeah. Keeping the grass down.
On your way to the staircase, have a look at the cottages on the left. There used to be 8, but due to the erosion, 4 have gone. The latest being demolished in the spring of 2014. Here you will also find the National Trust tea rooms and shop, offering an extensive range of meals, snacks and drinks. This is the stop for Berlin Gap.
It's been a very nice time.
Where?
What's the card?
Where come?
There's all that.
we travel across downland, where millions of migrating birds fly from each year. You can glimpse lots of species, including kestrels, swallows, crows and seagulls. The last mentioned can grow quite large and have a varied diet, including plants, small animals and even some stolen chimps. Eastbourne Corporation bought 4,100 acres of the Downs in 1926 for £91,291 and £1.07, or about £22 per acre. Burling Manor, coming up on the right, has 1,800 acres of arable pasture and woodland. Queen Elizabeth I stayed here in 1573. The Manor of Burling was originally part of the possessions of Odio, Bishop of Bayonne, half-brother of William the Conqueror, and was for a time in line to the throne of England. Now it is home to the present Lord of the Manor. You can catch a glimpse of the manor on your right, a great example of a local flint-built farmhouse. You'll pass the site of the now closed sheep centre. This closed in 2015 on the retirement of the owning Whitmore family. Eastbourne and Preston Cricket and Stoolball Club, established in 1989 and the home of the Eastbourne Tigers. Eastbourne is recorded as being connected to Nuna, King of the Saxons, in 689 AD. It's a small but vibrant community where at the ancient village green you will find the village hall. Every Wednesday morning, there is a farmers' market started in 2003 by Lord of the Manor, Charlie David Gilmore, selling fresh and local produce and arts and crafts. The village church is dedicated to St. Simon and St. Jude. It has a Saxon tower with an unusual gate to prevent cattle from entering the church. Just behind the village hall is the 15th century Tiger Inn and Hiker's Rest, a quaint old place to have a well-earned rest, meal and drinks. At the Tiger Inn, they offer local real ales. This is the stop for the Tiger Inn and Eastbourne Village. A light here for services 12, 12A and 12X to Seven Sisters Country Park and Brighton.
Yeah.
proceeds about 100 miles westward to Itchen Abbas in Hampshire, just northeast of Winchester. The term Downs comes from the Saxon word dun, meaning hill. Sand dunes are so called for the same reason. In 2003, proposals were put forward for the area to be appointed a national park.
Yeah.
Status was achieved in 2010.
Yeah.
The replacement.
Yeah.
Set into the Downs to your right is a dew pond providing water for livestock.
Kind of shape.
Some Downs are a peaceful place to visit today, but this was not always so. As in 1793, France declared war on England and Holland. Beachy Head was chosen to have a wartime signal beacon to help watch the coast all year round in case of invasion. One mad Frenchman even tried to build a tunnel under the channel during World War II. The area became known as the Clapham Junction of the skies. Allied and German airmen used Beachy Head as a navigation route. Squadrons of Spitfires and Hurricanes took on the light of the Luftwaffe in the Battle of Britain. Along the coast, an air-sea rescue centre was set up, and it was here where radio signal direction finding vans took compass bearings and airmen's distress transmissions. Once planes were located, high-speed launches went out from New Haven Port to rescue pilots and crew. Beachers were turned over and filled with sand to block landing areas. During the early part of the war, hundreds of children were evacuated from London to Eastbourne, but by the middle of 1940, everyone except those doing essential work was sent away from the town. This area was hit more often in raids than any other town in the South Coast, doubtless because it was so close to the RAF listening stations. In the second half of 1942, fighter bomber raids inflicted heavy casualties and damage to Eastbourne and its population for almost a year. And December 1943 saw 32 people killed in one single day. In total, there were 112 bomber raids in Eastbourne, over 11,000 properties were damaged or destroyed, over 1,400 people were seriously injured, and 174 killed. In 1945, Eastbourne's evacuated population of over 40,000 returned to their town to find many familiar places devastated, in ruins and barely recognisable. As we carry on driving across the Downs, you will notice lots of sheep. Lambing season starts in the early spring, when almost 50 million ewes are preparing to give birth around the UK. The sheep hereabouts are known as mules by farmers and are crossbreeds using stock such as Suffolk, Romney Marsh and Welsh. Soon we will reach Warren Hill, offering a downland walk with panoramic views across Eastbourne and the South Downs. Please ding the bell if you would like to stop at Warren Hill.
Hold on, hold on.
No, we're fine.
Hold on, hold on.
You hold on, fine.
Yeah.
You will now get to see the wonderful panoramas of Eastbourne on a clear day. In the distance beyond the promenades is an area known locally as the Crumbles. This vast area of shingle stretching from Eastbourne to Pevensey Bay. Part of this has in the last 30 years been developed into a magnificent waterfront marina. The complex, known as Sovereign Harbour, and covers 365 acres with 2 locked harbours and opened in 1993. The harbour development provides almost 5,000 homes, along with waterside shops, restaurants and mooring facilities for hundreds of small craft. 2,000 years ago, the Crumbles Bay area was used by the Romans, and William the Conqueror landed there in 1066 before the battle with Hastings. Over the last 2 millennia, the area has silted up with
Said
pebbles.
battle again, didn't he?
Yeah.
We descend into the town from the Downs by a different route, passing close to Leeds Village. Still today, an exclusive address, where grand property was built during the Victorian era, and much of this survives intact today. In 2014, skeletal remains of a young woman who lived around 425 AD were discovered in the vicinity of the Downland estate. 19th centuries would see Eastbourne change from a small village into a bustling town. Everything changing after the Prince Regent made Brighton into a popular health resort and built the flamboyant Royal Pavilion there. Two monarchs visited the quiet fishing community in the Middle Ages, Henry I and Edward II, both staying at the manor house near the centre of the town, off the area known as the Goffs. The population doubled every 10 years in the mid-19th century, with the arrival of the railways in 1849, adding tourism to the town's attributes. The population grew from a little over 3,000 in 1851 to 22,000 in 1881, and today it's over 100,000. Electricity came early to Eastbourne, and the first building to be illuminated was the Floral Hall in 1881, and the first public lighting was seen in September 1882. In times as before, passing the world famous Saffron Sports Club, where many of the most famous cricketers in the world have plied their trade. And still today, Sussex CCC plays some class bowls and squash facilities are available to members. At Eastbourne Town FC, Eastbourne Hockey Club and the town's cricket club play their home fixtures. The grounds were once ringed by beautiful elm trees, but most of these perished during the notorious Dutch elm disease ravages of the late 20th century. Coming up to your left, Eastbourne Town. Eastbourne Town Hall was commissioned following a design competition, and the building was the work of Birmingham-based architect W. Tadman Fox, who was tasked in 1880 to provide a suitable grand edifice for the town's administrative functions. Of red brick construction with gilded brick decorations, Auburn stone dressings, and grey Welsh slate roofing in the pre-Renaissance style. The foundation stone was laid on October the 9th, 1884, and the building opened on the 20th of October, 1886. The principal feature is a slightly off-centre clock tower, 130 feet high, with clock mechanisms on all four faces by Gilbert and Johnson, installed in 1892, and aligned directly with Grange Road and South Street. The area of Grove Road and South Street is popularly known as Little Chelsea, where a alliance of small traders promote a shopping district in small shops where customers can buy from independent outlets, including galleries, antiques, books, cafes, boutiques, interiors including fabrics and art, are all set in quaint Victorian shopping streets, where tall terraces tumble over the pavements. Having passed along South Street in Gilbert Road, we now see Eastbourne's magnificent Grade 2 listed railway station. This was not the original terminus, which was a timber structure to the north of the current station, but was built in 1872 on the instruction of the chief mechanical engineer of the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway, Frederick Bannister, and designed by F.D. Brick. The station is of yellow brick and sandstone with a prominent clock tower on the street frontage and a beautiful vaulted canopy with lantern roof. It was originally a goods station on the northern side of the buildings, of which survives today, transformed into the Enterprise Shopping Centre, a fine group of small traders and market stalls. Eastbourne Station boasts a fine signal box, also Grade 2 listed, It was decommissioned in 2015, replaced by the computerised signal system at Boy Bridges, some 40 miles away. You can catch trains to Brighton, London, Hastings and Ashford. This is the stop for Eastbourne railway station. A light here for buses to Brighton, Hailsham, Uckfield and Lewis. Coming up to the town centre and the beacon formerly known as the Ondale Centre, which originally opened in the late 1980s. It has had an extensive development with an extension of the covered shopping aisles and a multi-screen cinema complex complementing the traditional facilities historically offered in Terminus Road.
Seagulls. Go. Shoot. Did he shoot?
Yeah,
He's gone.
This is the stop for Eastbourne Town Centre. A light here for buses to Hastings via Bexhill and Pevensey. You'll notice the elegant Victorian townhouses and neat geometric tree-lined road patterns radiating from the central roundabout, which forms the town's new memorial. The statue by sculptor H.C. Burke is a bronze winged victory holding a laurel wreath and inverted sword to resemble a cross. Eastbourne has some famous theatres, including the Devonshire Park Theatre, a 19th century playhouse for dramas and touring repertory, the modern purpose-built Congress Theatre and the Winter Gardens and Royal Hall, a Grade 2 listed building from 1875, form part of the same complex, as does the International Devonshire Park Lawn Tennis Centre, just along Compton Street and near the Wish Tower. Near the Cavendish Hotel is a bronze statue of the 7th Duke of Devonshire, who in the mid-1800s was instrumental in driving forward the development of Eastbourne.
We get off at the pier. Same as us.
Yeah.
But they've just started and we're going back.
But
That's the right station.
We are now coming to the end of our tour.